So happy Sabbath morning, brothers and sisters. We're looking on the series, The Ship Zion. And we are lesson number 5. It's a 12-part series. I trust it's proving to be a blessing for you. So let's get right into it right now. Our series is based on an account of a journey that Paul had in Acts 27 verse 1. And we're going to go all the way to Acts 28 verse 13. And we found in our discussion thus far that 2 Timothy 3 verse 16 says that all scripture is what? Given by what? Inspiration of God, and it's profitable for what? Doctrine, for reproof, for correction, for instruction in righteousness. Every single word in the Bible, every single phrase, every single sentence, paragraph, book is relevant for doctrine, reproof, correction, and what? Instruction in righteousness. We have discussed that the Paul's journey that we're looking at in Acts 27 and part of Acts 28, it can be understood as an allegory. What's an allegory? A story, a poem, or a picture that can be interpreted to reveal a what? Hidden meaning. So, seeing Paul's journey to Italy, that's in the physical sense. But deep within that is also what? Spiritual meaning, deep spiritual meaning. And we looked at our journey starting in Acts 27 verse 6, where it says what? And there the centurion found a ship of Alexandria sailing into Italy, and he put us there on. See, it was a ship looking like this. So these are the typical cargo ship that brought grain from one port to another port. And we're like this ship that Paul spoke about in Acts 27 verse 6 as the ship of Zion. Advent Review and Sabbath Herald says, let us keep on board the whole ship what? Zion, which the Lord has piloted through the perils of how long? The sea of time for over what? 6,000 years. So we're using an allegorical understanding. So the prominence in Paul's journey was the ship of Alexandria. In our application, allegorical application, we're seen as the ship of ship Zion. That's all right, see, that's all right. Over the sea of time. Now the ship Zion we looked at before, and this is very important. Very important. What is the ship Zion? The ship Zion is a Seventh-day Adventist movement with Jesus as captain, the remnant people as passengers, the spirit of prophecy as the what? Co-pilot, the biblical prophetic word as the master chart, the restored truth or present truth as its cargo, and the organization as the timbers of its framework. So that's the ship Zion. And if you looked at the first study that we did, we looked at captain, cargo, and construction. Who remember that one? Yes, captain, cargo, and construction. We established this using the Bible and the spirit of prophecy. Very clear. So we said that Paul journey on the ship, that ship of Alexandria, we're going to call it ship of Zion, started in the Port Maria in the city of Lycia. And then they went to Cnidus, Salmone, they went to Fairhaven, and Paul advised was for them to winter there. But the word of God says that Fairhaven, that place wasn't very what? Commodious. Wasn't very accommodating. So they said we're going to try and leave from Fairhaven and get to Phoenix, which was just 34 miles away. And there we can be able to have a better winter. So it's much more accommodating. But when they left, believing that they're going to get to Phoenix, they were caught in a what? A storm, a wind, a tempestuous wind called Euroclydon. So Acts 27, 13 and 14 says, and when the south wind blew softly, supposing that they had obtained their purpose, loosing thence, they sailed close by Crete. But not long after they arose against a what? Tempestuous wind, called what? Euroclydon. And we said in our understanding that this Euroclydon is an unsettling doctrines of spiritualism and what? Sunday sacredness. I know some of you are here just the first time, so some of these things may not be so with me. Let me give a minute, please. So we looked at the Word of God, can't go into much detail, but we realized that wind in its spiritual application can be understood to be doctrines. Paul talked about that. Being tossed to and fro by every wind of doctrine. So we see here that in this tempestuous wind is an unsettling doctrine of spiritualism and Sunday sacredness, which was very evident in the early journey for this ship of Zion. And verse 15 says that when the ship was caught, all this in yellow is interpretation, the allegorical interpretation. When the ship was caught, that's the Seventh-day Adventist movement seemingly under the control of external forces, and could not bear up because of the wind of doctrinal strife, we let our drive urge forward by force. And verse 16, 17 continues by saying, and running on a certain island which is called Clauda, we had much work to come by the boat. So there was a boat behind the ship. The seas were so rough they decided to take the boat and put it nowhere now. On the ship. Are you following so far? When they had taken up this, used helps, undergirding the ship, and fearing lest they should fall into quicksands, strike sail, and so were driven. So here now, they are in the middle of the ocean being battered by Euroclydon. And verse 18 says, and we being exceedingly tossed with a tempest, the next day they lightened the ship. We discussed that, overcoming the carnal mind, self, pride, unbelief, and doubts. Very important point. Let's make sure you understand the application. In the allegorical sense, friends, for those who are on the ship Zion to survive this journey, we've got to throw overboard the carnal mind. Amen. Especially what? Self. So self-centeredness, self-sufficiency, self-righteousness, selfishness. Everything that has to do with self have to be what? Thrown overboard. Pride, unbelief, and doubts likewise need to be thrown overboard. And Acts 27 verse 19 says, on the third day we cast out our own hands the tackling of the ship. And we discussed the tackling in great detail the last time. The tackling are the ropes and the system that allows, when the ship is in rough seas, for the sailors to what? Wrestle her back under control. So we have to throw that overboard likewise. So leaving control of the Seventh-day Adventist movement to the captain, Jesus. You know, last week we learned that who is at the helm of the ship? Jesus. He's the captain, he's the pilot. He's the one in control of the ship.
Oh, yes.
So we don't need to worry about the tackling. We can't throw the tackling overboard. That sense in our mind that we are in control of God's church. Let me say it clearly. God is in control of his church.
Amen.
And Acts 27 verse 20 says, and when neither sun nor stars in many days appeared, that seemingly forsaken, no son of righteousness, nor star help us the angels. Seems despondent for this remnant church, for this ship of Zion. And no small tempest lay on us, all hope that we should be saved was taken away. 21 says, but after long abstinence, this journey will require much what? Patience, brothers and sisters, are you hearing that? This journey will require much patience. Paul stood forth in the midst of them and said, sirs, ye should have hearkened unto me and not have loosed from Crete, and to have gained this harm and loss. But then he gave some encouraging words in Acts 27 verse 22. And now I exhort you to be of good cheer, for there shall be what? No loss of any man's life among you, but what? But of the ship. Then verse 23 in Acts 27 says, for there stood by me this night the angel of the Lord, whose I am, and whom I serve, saying, fear not, Paul, thou must be brought before Caesar. Let me just say to these Adventists who constantly Christ is going to come back in the next 50 years. It's been taped, so I want to put this on record. The Word of God is saying to us, we have a date of destiny with Rome. So let me just say something very clear. If you are passing on the ship of Zion, and you think it's going to be one of those nice, smooth, evening breeze sail. No, 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 no. By divine providence, we have a time and a date to what? Collide with Rome. Friends, do we get that? Yes. Wherefore, sirs, be of good cheer, for I believe, God, that it shall be even as it was told me. Howbeit, we must be cast upon a certain island. And then verse 27 of Acts 27 says, but when the 14th night was come, as we were driven up and down in Adria, about what? Midnight. I will learn from the prophetic allegorical sense that was about 1888. That was the darkest period in the journey. The shipmen deemed that they drew near to some country. I will learn last week that there was two sounding. Acts 27:28 says what? And sounded. Babylon the Great is. So in 1888, the message of the loud cry went forth. That angel in Revelation 18 verse 1, he added his voice to the third angel message. Are you following me so far, friends? Yeah. And the message was what? Babylon the Great is fallen. And found it 20 fathoms. And when they had gone a little further, they saw that what? A second time is fallen. And found it 15 fathoms. So the ship of Zion was about to collide with Rome. But we learned last week that God realized that his people weren't what? Ready. Weren't ready because they weren't what? Sealed. And we saw when this was about to happen, the parallel to that was what? There was a Blair Act that was brought before Congress to pass a Sunday law as early as 1888. And God in his mercy said what? Hold! Because the people of God are not what? Ready. They're not sealed. And we saw that in Acts 27 verse 29, then fearing lest we should have fallen upon rocks, they cast 4 anchors. And we saw the parallel to that in Revelation chapter 7, where it describes what? 4 angels holding back the winds of strife. So 4 angels holding back the ship Zion from colliding with some country. That's the country of Rome. Friends, I want to make sure you understand this, you know. We could have been home already. From as early as 1888 or soon after that. But what was the problem? The people of God weren't ready. And God in his mercy cast 4 anchors to hold and delay the ship of Zion. Those 4 angels are considered 4 anchors here. Yes. From colliding with Rome because the people weren't ready. And we learned something else last week, that the Son of Law being passed is a signal that the judgment has shifted from the righteous dead to the righteous living. You know, studied that before? Yes. But the signal, not the time, but not the date setting here. So when the Son of Law is passed, it's a signal the judgment has moved from the righteous dead to the righteous living. And here we are now. So we are right where we're right here in our study right now. Acts 27 verse 30 says, and as the shipmen were about to flee out of the ship, when they had let down the boat into the sea, on the colors though they would have cast anchors out of the foreship, Paul said to the centurion and to the soldiers, except these abide in the ship, you cannot be saved. Acts 27 verse 31. So that's a long summary I gave. Summarizing the previous 4 lectures. Now the 5th lecture now we're looking at, now we're going to continue. About to flee the ship. Now I'm going to set this up. I want us to be very careful. We learn the ship of Zion is a Seventh-day Adventist movement. And this movement as an organization. Is that so, friends? Yes. Friends, I want you to pay attention now, friends. This is very important. Yes. We're discussing a time when the passengers are about to what? Flee the ship. Yes. And we learn the ship. The timbers of our framework is the what? Is our organization. This is one morning I don't want some of us to be, we have been so very distracted. We need to be very focused on this morning's topic. So we're going to press forward still. So we're going to discuss this from two perspectives. We're going to give counsel to individuals who are about to flee the ship. You heard me, friends? Yes. We're going to discuss it in two regards. We're going to discuss under the topic about to flee the ship, counsel to individuals who are about to flee the ship. And we're going to give a second study, counsel to groups that are about to flee the ship. Friends, are you following me? We're going to look at the counsel as it relates to individuals who want to jump off the ship Zion. And then we're going to look at the counsel as it relates to what? Groups who want to leave the ship Zion. Let's get into that. Now, to illustrate the counsel to individuals, I'm going to go to a very interesting dream that Ellen G. White had, which has great application to this journey of Paul. So we'll look at Ellen G. White's dream about a sea voyage. You can record in Testimonies for the Church, volume 5, page 571. Testimonies for the Church, volume 5, page 571. Listen carefully, and listen to our counsel to the individual who are about to leave the ship. The ship here means the Advent movement. Are you following me, brethren? Yes. With its defined organizational structure. Testimonies for Churches, volume 5, page 571. I had an impressive dream last night. I thought that you were on a strong vessel, sailing on very rough waters. Sometimes the waves beat over the boat, and you were drenched with water. You said, I shall get off. This vessel is going down. No, said one who appeared to be the captain. This vessel sails into the harbor. Amen. So she having a dream about someone. We're going to identify who that someone is soon enough. On a sea voyage, and they're tempted to what? Leave the what? Leave the vessel, leave the ship. So she's given her dream now. She will never go down. But you answered, I shall be washed overboard. As I am neither captain nor mate, who cares? Well, that's fascinating. This person wanted to leave the ship in rough seas because they weren't either captain or mate. So they didn't consider themselves insignificant. So they want to leave the ship. I shall take my chances on that vessel you see yonder. Yes. Said the captain, I shall not let you go there, for I know that vessel will strike the rocks before she reaches the harbor. You straighten yourself up and say with great positiveness, this vessel will become a wreck. I can see just as plain as can be. The captain looked upon you with piercing eye and said firmly, I shall not permit you to lose your life by taking that boat. Mercy. Captain giving counsel still to this person who wants to leave the ship. Listen to counsel. The timbers of our framework are worm-eaten, and she's a deceptive craft. I get the point. The timbers of the framework is the organizational structure. And the captain is saying to this person on the ship of Zion, who wants to go to another ship, I know every timber on that ship you want to go to. And her timbers are what? Worm-eaten. That organization you want to go to, that church organization you want to go to, is not sound organization. That organization you want to go to, or structure cannot survive the waves and trials of time. Friends, are you listening? If you had more knowledge, you could discern between the spurious and genuine, and the holy and that appointed to utter rule. So that's a dream. We're going to go back to let her interpret her dream now. Here's her interpretation of her dream. 16 manuscript releases, 282 second paragraph. I have had some impressive dreams. And she talked about the dream that she had in Testimonies for the Church, Volume 5. So she's talking to one particular person named Ella Canwright. One of our early members of the church, a very gifted, eloquent speaker, powerful evangelist. His name was Canwright. Are you following me? So she's applying the dream in the context of Canwright's experience. So she got a dream. Now she's applying the dream in the context of Canwright's experience. Are you following me so far? So she said, I have had some impressive dreams that have led me to feel that you are not altogether light. So she's talking about Ella Canwright now. Ella Canwright was presenting his ideas upon the law, and such a mixed up concern I never heard. So she's envisioned or interpreted her dream that Canwright was a person who wanted to lead the ship of Zion, the Advent movement. But he had some confused ideas as relates to the law. And the other brethren weren't buying into the idea. So he wanted to lead the ship. Neither of you seem to see or understand where his arguments would have led to. So there are two other brothers there who was trying to convince Brother Canwright to stay on the ship. They didn't understand the message that he was giving. Stay on the ship, Brother Canwright. You seem to be sitting in a boat in a shadow, and Ella Canwright was turning the light down lower and lower. And then someone said, we have had enough of this. All this is as a shadow of night. It is the work of Satan. Next he started up uneasy groaning and seemed to be like a man paralyzed, and declared he would leave the boat. So two elders are trying to reason Brother Canwright about his strange doctrine as it relates to the law, and he just wouldn't listen. He wouldn't listen. He saw one that was sailing faster. So you see another boat now, another ship now. He saw one, that's Canwright, that was sailing faster. And all on board apparently were happy. It's love, it's love, it's all about love. It's all about love. There was music and singing. I wonder if one of those ships had drums in there. I wonder if it's one of those churches where they have 2 hours of praise and worship, and only five minutes after the preacher, the word being preached. You sound like one of those churches waiting. Yeah. I'm going into that boat. I think this boat will go to pieces. The captain stood firmly and said, I know every piece of timber in the ship, and it will outright every storm. I am satisfied with the organizational structure of this Seventh-day Adventist movement. You hear me, brothers and sisters? I have nothing against the conference, the unions, the local church. I have nothing against. That's God's design. Am I saying all the people in those positions are necessarily godly? No, I'm not saying that. But am I going to change up God's organizational structure for his ship? Absolutely not. I'm quite satisfied. Why? Hear why. He knows every piece of timber in the ship, and he will what? Outright every storm. Amen. But that boat has worked and decaying timbers. So no matter what you see around you, friends, let me be clear this morning. No matter what you see, all these other ships and boats on the sea of time look like. And no matter how happy they are, their music and singing, their timber is what? Worm-eaten and suspect. But this ship of Zion, she was organized and structured according to what? God's plan. I'm staying on this ship. Amen. But the boat that was worm-eaten and decaying with timbers, that's other boat. Listen now. It will not endure the tempest. I thought he said, I'm going on that boat if I perish with it. And history proves something interesting. Ella Canwright left the church. And after his apostasy, Canwright left the Seventh-day Adventist Church permanently. In February 1887, he died in obscurity. I want to give you guys some homework. Go home and read up Canwright. Brilliant, gifted speaker. speaker and preacher. But there was a whole lot of self. A whole lot of self. And the counsel given to him, which I'm giving to you, and to those who will see this video afterwards, no matter what you see the other ship in the sea of time look like, these are the denominational structure, whether it's Catholic, Baptist, Pentecostal, Presbyterian, Lutheran. But that boat has what? Worm-eaten and decayed timbers. So which ship are we going to stay on? We're going to stay on which ship? The ship of Zion. No, let's get in some deeper stuff now. Last day events for the 2nd paragraph. Some advanced had thought that as we near the close of time, every child of God will act independently of any religious organization. So there are many people in Adventist church right now. So we need to go independent. But I have been instructed by the Lord that in this work there is no such thing as every man's being what? Independent. LP 31, first paragraph. The Redeemer of this world, of the world, does not sanction, experience, or exercise in religious matters independent of his organized and acknowledged church. How did the churches hear the message this morning? God does not sanction any experience or exercise in religious matters independent of his organized and acknowledged church. Many have an idea that they are responsible to Christ alone for their light and experience, independent of his recognized followers on earth. So a man decides, you know what? I'm going to do my own thing. I'm going to start my own church. Yeah. And just break away and do his own thing. He will never have God's favorable sight in that action. Last events 51, 3rd paragraph. I know that the Lord loves his church. It is not to be disorganized or broken up into what? Independent atoms. Wow. Can I get the amen for that? Amen. By God's grace, amen. Amen. There is not the least consistency in this. There is not the least evidence that such thing will be. God wants his Seventh-day Adventist remnant church to be one together. The ship of Zion must be what? Stay as what? One. The passengers must be all be what? One on board with ship. Ship of Zion. So let me say one more time. I know that the Lord loves his church. It is not to be disorganized or broken up into independent atoms. Testimonies for the church 1, page 333. No greater delusion can deceive the human mind than that which leads men to indulge a self-confident spirit. What did I say when you throw out the ship? Self. Remember we discussed that? Yes. To believe that they are right and in the light when they are drawing away from God's people and their cherished light is darkness. Brothers and sisters, if someone come and trying to get you off the ship of Zion, off or out of the organized Seventh-day Adventist system, that's not of God's instruction. Continues, last event 61 verse 4. I tell you, my brethren, the Lord has an organized body through whom he will work. When anyone is drawing apart from the organized body of God's commandment-keeping people, when he begins to weigh the church in his human scales and begins to pronounce judgment against them, then you may know that God is not leading. He's on the wrong track. Amen. Let's be clear, friends. Amen. Anyone who says, let's break off from the organized Adventist church system, he's on the wrong track and God is not with him. Last time I preached this message, I bawled like baby afterwards. I hope I don't start about bawling now. Please, I don't want to bawl on camera right now. Then you may know that God is not leading. He's on the wrong track. Amen. So irrespective of what so-called good reasons people give to break off and leave God's remnant church, the organized body, not of God. Amen. Let me read one more time. Last day events, page 51, fourth paragraph. I tell you, my brethren, the Lord has an what? Organized body. That's the ship Zion we're talking about. Through whom he will work. When anyone is drawn apart from the organized body of God's commandment keeping people, when he begins to weigh the church in human scales, those men in the conference wasting our money, those men in the conference are apostatized. That all might be true, but guess what? Stay on the ship. Amen. That's the instruction. I'm not one of those Gideon preacher who don't know. I know what's going on. Yes, there's much apostasy amongst in Adventism. But it's still the ship of Zion. Amen. Then you may know that God is not leading. He's on the wrong track. Amen. So that's the individual now. Let's switch to groups now. So we discuss individuals who want to, are about to lead the ship. And we use Ella Canwright as an instruction that should what? Speak to us likewise, yes? Yes. Let's talk about groups now. We want to discuss the offshoot phenomenon. Yes. The offshoot phenomenon that's plaguing the Seventh-day Adventist Church. This is a date palm. You ever heard about date palm? Dates? Yes. Date palm. It's a date palm tree. It's a date palm tree. Are you seeing the date palm tree? You're seeing the mother plant here. Are you seeing two shoots coming off there? Are you seeing that? Yes. But we're discussing offshoot, yes? Yes. So here's a date palm tree. This is the tree here, with little branches coming off there, and the main mother plant bearing fruits there. Are you seeing that? Yes. But down the bottom here is what? Offshoot, right? You see that? Yeah. Offshoot. Trunk base. You see that? Yeah. Listen carefully, friends. Listen carefully. For offshoots, they are separated from the parent plant. Are you seeing that? Yeah. Yeah. You see that? Yeah. So they are branching off of the root, but they are separated from. So you have two plants here. Are you seeing that? Yeah. So the offshoot is separated from the parent plant. Is that clear? Yeah. The offshoots compete for the same nutrients as the parent plant. Are you seeing that? Thirdly, the offshoots may bear similar fruits as the parent plant. Does that make sense? Yeah. If it's an offshoot from the date palm, it's not going to bear mangoes now, is it? No. It's going to bear date palm, very likely looking like the date palm of the mother plant. Yes. So three things I want us to realize for the offshoot. Separated from the parent plant. Have you seen that? Yes. Compete for the same nutrients as the parent plant. Have you seen that? Yes. And may bear similar fruits as the parent plant. Is that unreasonable? Oh, that's pretty straightforward. Yep. No. The Word of God says in 1 Corinthians 15:46. However, the spiritual is not first, but it's natural, and then afterwards the what? Spiritual. So, 1 Corinthians 15:46 gives us this understanding. As it is in the what? Natural, so it shall be in the what? Spiritual. Now let's apply this offshoot system that we see coming from the date plant in a spiritual sense now. Testimonies to Minister 61, for second paragraph. God has a church upon the earth who are his chosen people, who keep his commandments he is leading. Not stray what? Offshoots, not one here and one there, but a what? A people. So does God condones offshoots? But you have to speak back to me this morning. No. Does God condone offshoots? No. Not at all. Listen now, she's going to tell us what offshoots are. Pay attention. Testimonies for the Church, volume 1, 417. There are little companies continually arising who believe that God is only with the very few. The very scattered, and their influence is to tear down and scatter than that which God's servant built up. And now she's going to give us the important feature of what an offshoot is. Listen what you're going to say. They stand separate from the people whom God is leading out. As it is in the natural, so it is in the what? So in this natural, we saw the offshoot what? Separates from the parent plant. Are you seeing that?
Yes.
In the spiritual sense, the offshoot church system is going to what? Separate from the what? The organized body. Are we getting that, friends?
Yes.
Testimonies of Ministers and Gospel Workers, page 49. Although there are evils existing in the church, that's the Adventist church, and will be until the end of the world, the church in these last days is to be the light of the world that is polluted and demoralized by sin. The church, enfeebled and defective, needing to be reproved, warned, and counseled, is the only object upon earth upon which Christ bestows his supreme regard.
Amen.
So the ship Zion is the system of which God gives his what? Supreme regard. So let me ask a question now. So we learn very clearly that God is not in support of offshoots. Agreed?
Right.
What if an individual or a group are impressed to do some systematic ministerial work for Christ? Is there a system in place for that? Well, let us look at that. So I'm going to show you a little branch off here. You seen that, friends? I want to call it self-supported ministries. Are you seeing that?
Yes.
So this branch off here, I'm calling it self-supported ministries, separate and apart from the offshoot, which is coming off from the root and is separate from the mother plant. Are you seeing that?
Yes.
No.
Self-supported ministries. They are attached to the parent plant. Is that true?
Yes.
Self-supported ministries, they share the same nutrients as the parent plant. It's not a competition, but a what? Sharing of the nutrients. Are you realizing? And they bear the same fruit as the parent plant.
Okay.
Are you seeing that, friends?
Yes.
So, let's talk a little bit about self-supporting ministry or self-supporting gospel workers. Ministry of Healing, page 154, first paragraph. In many places, self-supporting missionaries can work successfully. It was a self-supporting missionary that the Apostle Paul labored, as a self-supporting missionary, that the Apostle Paul labored in spreading the knowledge of Christ throughout the world. While daily teaching the gospel in the great cities of Asia and Europe, he wrought at the trade of a craftsman to sustain himself and his companions. His parting words to the elders at Ephesus, showing his manner of labor, have precious lessons for every gospel worker.
Amen.
So does the Spirit of Apostle support self-supporting missionaries?
Yes.
Yes. What about Acts of the Apostles, 355, second paragraph? There's a large field open before the self-supporting gospel worker. Many may gain valuable experience in the ministry while toiling a portion of their time at some form of manual work, and by this method, strong workers may be developed for important service in needed fields.
Amen.
So does the Spirit of Apostle support self-supporting missionary?
Yes.
What about self-supporting gospel workers?
Yes.
Absolutely. Now, I'm going to read you an excerpt from author L. White. That was Ellen G. White's one of her grandsons. So when Ellen G. White died, he had part of the responsibility to establish and preserve our writings. Are you following me so far?
Yes.
So he was asked to give a talk on self-supporting institutions and the role of the spirit of prophecy does give that support. Are you following me?
Yes.
That was in 1959. So I'm showing you here, set in the context of what I'm going to read now. So there was a self-supporting institution, the body of workers who were self-supporting institutions. Are you following me? And they in turn asked him to come and give them a talk about what role the spirit of prophecy played in raising up these self-supporting institutions. Are you following me now? This is what he said to them. I'm reading now. I take pleasure this morning in speaking to you on the topic assigned to me, The spirit of prophecy counsels on self-supporting work. It is these counsels which have called into being this ever-growing line of useful services. It is these counsels which form the charter of the self-supporting work, and they might be referred to as a license under which, within the framework of the organization of the church. So is offshoot a part of the organization of the church? No. What about self-supporting ministries?
Yes.
Absolutely. The various branches of self-supporting work operate as an integral part of the work of the church. So does the spirit of prophecy support self-supporting gospel workers and self-supporting missionaries?
Yes.
Absolutely. Are they seen separate from the organization? No, they're what? Part of the organization. They're that little limb that's branching off. The existence of self-supporting ministries is contingent on their connection with the Seventh-day Adventist organization, a working partnership. Same Arthur L. White now in the history of the use of the tithe. He's given an account now again as it relates to self-supporting ministries. Usually self-supporting groups view themselves as adjuncts to the organized church. Actually, the Adventist church itself provides a reason for their existence, composed of dedicated, self-sacrificing men and women. Self-supporting units have enlarged and furthered the cause of truth through the years by a variety of means, such as schools and medical missionary endeavors. Amen. So are they working against the church? No. They're working as a what? Adjunct and a part of the what? Organization to push what message? The message of Jesus Christ and his salvation. He continues. Self-supporting units were never intended to spend their energies turning inward on the church. I wonder if you guys listen. So all these so-called ministries that their whole claim to fame is to turn on the church. They are not self-supporting ministries. To critique its endeavors or to prey on its ties. You guys got that? You know, we learned before that the offshoot coming from the ground, but from the root of the parent plant, what? Compete with the what? The nutrients. Self-supporting ministries coming off as one branch. Right. So they are what? Sharing the nutrients. They're not what? Competing for the nutrients. You see the difference, friends? Right. Yes. On the contrary, such units were intended to uphold the church and to extend its influence, like Aaron and Hur, who held up the hands of Moses in the battle of Israel against the Amalekites. So let's look at our comparison now. So this here can be likened to the ship of Zion, the Seventh-day Adventist movement. Are you following me, brethren? Yes. And we see two options here. We see the self-supporting ministries right here, attached to the parent plant, shares the same nutrients as the parent plant, bear the same fruit as the parent plant. Compare that now with the offshoot. Separated from the parent plant. Have you seen that? Yes. Compete for the same nutrients as the parent plant, and they may bear the similar fruits as the parent plant. So let me make an important point here. You talk to some people, and they say, oh, we're not offshoots. Why? We preach the same Seventh-day Adventist doctrine. Well, I expect you to preach the same or similar, because you're offshoot. Friends, you got what I'm trying to say? Preaching the same SDA doctrine doesn't mean that you're not an offshoot. What makes you offshoot is when you're what? Separated from the parent plant. Friends, you got that?
Yes, yes.
So let's go again. If the mother plant bears a special type of date palm that is especially sweet, would you expect the offshoot to bear mangoes or cherries or grapes? No. Would you expect to get some date palms? Yes. Very likely similar sweetness? So I hear a lot of people walking around and say, oh, that's not the offshoot group. That's not the offshoot group. Why? Oh, they preach the same thing, they use the same hymnal, they use the same. No, that's not what makes you an offshoot, friends. It's when you're separated from the parent plant. That's what makes an offshoot. So we see this contrast between the offshoots and the separated ministries. Now, last week I gave you guys some homework. I said I'd give you guys a chance. I said, go and look in Ellen G. White's writing. And if you find any place where she have independent ministry that she wrote, not others, come and share it with me. Did anybody find that? Not one of you found it because it's not there. Here's the point I'm making. The concept of independent ministry, that even the thought of that is something relatively new. So here, let me explain a bit of the thing. Many offshoot movements, because offshoot movements are frowned on, they call themselves what? Independent ministry. But as you see what I'm showing you, I'm saying that we need to make a distinction between three different independent. There's independent actions, there's true independent ministry, or what we call what? False independent ministry. Are you following me so far? So let's see if we can break down all three now. Independent actions. Third selected messages, 223, first paragraph. This is Ellen G. White writing now. And it's in chapter 3 that says independent actions. Listen carefully. Departing from the faith, God is teaching, leading, and guiding his people that they may teach, lead, and guide others. There will be among the remnant of the last days, so that's even those who are on the ship, follow me now, there are going to be some on the ship who want to make the what? Independent action. But are they on the ship?
No.
Yes, they're on the ship. Follow me carefully now. They're on the ship, but they want to do independent action. There will be among the remnant of these last days, as there were in ancient Israel, those who wish to move independently, who are not willing to submit to the teachings of the Spirit of God, and who will not listen to advice or counsel. So everything that God's on the ship of Zion, those who are rebellious. And they want to make independent what? Actions. Follow me carefully now. Continues. Third selected messages 23, first paragraph. Let such ever bear in mind that God has a church upon the earth, to which he has delegated what? Power. Men will want to follow their own independent judgment, despising counsel and reproof, but just as surely as they do this, they will depart from the faith. So there's a point we're making here. If you have an independent Spirit of God's organized church, one of these days you're going to find yourself jumping up. You will jump out the ship. Friends, we got that point? Those who rally now to support and build up the church, the truth of God, are ranging themselves on one side, standing united in heart, mind, and voice in the defense of the truth. So that's independent actions. And independent actions can lead you to what? To stray. Now the question is, how do I make a distinction between true independent ministry versus false independent ministry? Let's apply some principles we learned before from our previous slides. This is from Ellen G. White's Constant Practice on Tithe by Roger Cool. So he is gleaming, that's the book, he's gleaming from other writings, and he's putting here, weighing down what is inside as it relates to what is a true independent ministry. Are you following me, brethren? So Wayne Dodd, president of Eden Valley Institute, a self-supported medical missionary training center in Loveland, Colorado, characterized loyal, self-supporting organizations, another term to describe independent ministries. So a true independent ministry is the same thing as a what? Self-supporting ministry. Are you getting that, friends? Yes. A true independent ministry is the same as a self-supporting ministry. So he's going to give 7 characteristic features of a true independent ministry or a self-supporting ministry. And we can flip it around to understand what the false look like. So a true independent ministry, they accept the challenge to minister as self-supporting ministries. Are you getting that, friends? So they're not preying on the tithe from the organization. You got that, friends? They're not saying let's move away and do our own thing and set the budget, send us your tithes. Or stop the whole little shop, the whole little building, and have people coming on Sabbath giving them the money, the tithes money. They're not doing that. Are we getting that, friends?
Yes.
They are willing to sacrifice. It's a self-sacrificing work, as we saw with Paul. Paul's ministry was a true independent ministry, or better yet, a self-sacrificing ministry, or better yet, a self-supporting ministry. Are we following, brethren?
Yes.
Number 3, they unite their efforts with the church. That's extremely important. So the true independent ministry or the true self-supporting ministry unite their efforts with the church. What do I mean by that? I'll give you an example. The Lord blessed me to start a self-supporting ministry a couple of years back named Harvest Message International. And we go to different parts of the world and we go and we evangelize. We go mainly to Jamaica where we've been focusing on so far. Before I get to Jamaica to start the evangelistic series, I make contact with the pastors at the conference level or the church level and say, here's what Harvest Message International is about and where we'd like to come and minister in your community. Are you following me, friends?
Yes.
Then I typically will send them a detailed account of what the ministry will look like. What message we want to preach. I have a problem sharing that. If we want to do outreach evangelism, medical clinics, screening clinics, all that is listed down, we send it to them. So we are acting, our efforts are united with that of the church. So when we get to that church, or wherever the meeting is going to be kept, we're already what? In one accord with the church for an expectation that Christ is going to bless. Which is different from someone says, I'm going to go and I want to go to Jamaica and preach. I'm going to put a team together. And you just land, pay for the all, and you do your thing. Independent of the local church and the local conference. That's not of God. 4, they help carry God's last message to the world. 5, they recognize and respect the church. 6, they will be well balanced in principles and lifestyle. And 7, they will bring all the tithes into God's appointed storehouse. So let me just talk to you guys heart to heart. So here's the dilemma that we find in the church right now. People are saying every man for himself. And people start saying, oh, God called me. God called me and said I must go and do my own thing. So they break off. And they break off and they take members with them. And they establish their own building. Sometimes they rent their own building. And they do what they want to do. They call it the tithe, they call it the offering. No working with any of the local pastors or local conference. They do no thing. That's an offshoot. Because you're separated from the organized body. Do you understand, friends? They might preach the same message as you expect. Because they came from the what? Parent plant. But the primary identifying mark of an offshoot is that you're separated from the organized body. You got that, friends? Yeah. I know you guys have questions, so guess what? After we finish, we'll take some questions. So, going back to the Acts 27 verse 30, we'll apply what we studied a while ago. And as the shipmen were about to flee the ship, leave the organized Seventh-day movement, when they had let down the boat into the sea under color as though they would have cast anchors out of the ship, foreship. So here are some of the troubles in the Adventist church. That people are saying we need to jump off this ship because the church has gone up in apostasy. Spiritualism has entered the movement. Liturgical centered worship styles. Ecumenical compromise. Evangelism that is number driven. Baptizing the unconverted. Changing names and symbols of our churches. And itching ear syndrome, not following sound doctrine. And the conflict over music, dressing, women, ordination, and homosexuality. These are all problems within the ship, Zion. Yes. And many people are saying, boy, Adventists have become so corrupt, I'm leaving. Stay in the ship. Romans 3 verse 8 says, and not rather as we stand, our standards reported, and our some affirm that we say, let us do evil that good may come, whose damnation is just. Let me explain this slightly. There are many people who says, you know what? I'm going to leave this Adventist ship of Zion because I have some good intentions. And they break the church in two. Nothing went by the board to be discussed. No agreement was made with the church. There was no mother church because they just break off and they go. And they said to themselves, oh, we're going to do good. We're going to preach the message. So they're doing evil and they set the hope for what to come. Are they damned? Are they damned, friends? Yes, that's what the Word of God says. So the Word of God says, if you know the right and you do the wrong, because you're open for a good outcome, you are damned. I'm wrapping up now. Paul said to the centurion and to the soldiers, except these one, abide in the ship, you can't be saved. What does this Savior mean? So abide in the ship, friends, please. HST March 27, 1844. This is a famed picture of thousands at the present day. They are out upon the stormy ocean of the time. But in their extremity, the gospel ship has borne down upon them. And they have received invitation after invitation to go on board. And many have said, I'll go. But when the conditions were made known, they have shrunk back. In vain have the servants of God represented to them their dangerous situation, while out of the what? Ark of safety, exposed to the wrath of an angry God, and that wrath about to be poured out. So the gospel ship of Zion is the ark of what? So when it says you won't be saved, not salvation, but saved in terms of what? Safety. So the word saved being used must be understood to mean not to be understood to mean salvation, but instead to mean what? Safety. In other words, abiding in the organized seventh movement is not the source of salvation, but what? Instead of what? Place of safety. Abide in the ship. Abide in the ship, my brothers and sisters. No matter how miserable things get into the ship of Zion, this Advent movement, stay in the ship. So this is the life sketch on the life of Paul. 265, second paragraph. The leak rapidly increased, and the passengers and crew worked constantly at the pumps. There was not a moment's rest for one on board. Talking the same ship now. The selfish heathen sailors. What was supposed to be thrown off the boat earlier? Self and selfishness, yes? Right. The selfish heathen sailors determined to abandon the ship and crew and save themselves in the boat which they had with so much difficulty hoisted on board. Pretending that they could do something more to secure the safety of the ship, they unloosed the boat and began to lower it into the sea. Had they succeeded, they would have been what? Dashed in pieces upon the rocks, while all on board would have perished from their inability to handle what? The sinking vessel. Brothers and sisters, stay on the ship, please, I beg of you. Amen. I wish I had more strength to preach it with more earnestness. Stay on the ship, my brothers and sisters. Acts 27, 31 said, but said Paul to the centurion and to the soldiers, except these abide in the ship, you cannot be saved. So no other place of safety except the organized Seventh-day Adventist movement. My brothers and sisters, hear the message. Verse 32. Then the soldiers cut off the ropes of the boat and let her fall. We must cut all our sympathies to the offshoots and instead win them back to Jesus. Amen. So there are many of us who have this sympathy towards these offshoots. Oh, yeah, the man had to go offshoot because the conference treated him bad. No. Friend, what kind of nonsense is that? So yes, the conference might have treated him bad. Is there a reason to break off from God's organized system? No. Stay in the ship. Oh, it's because he's got it for the last 20, 30 years and no conference pick him up. So he decided to go and do his own thing. That's not justified, friends. Stay in the ship. And while the day was coming on, Paul besought them all to take meat, saying, this day is the 14th day that ye have tarried and continued fasting, having taken nothing. Wherefore I pray you to take some meat, for this is for your health, for there shall be not an ear fall from the head of any of you. And when he had thus spoken, he took bread and gave thanks to God in the presence of them all. And when he had broken it, he began to eat. Then were they all of good cheer, and they also took some meat. And we were in all in the ship 216 souls. And when they had eaten enough, they lightened the ship and cast the wheat into the sea. Acts 27:38. That's what we're going to discuss this evening. Casting the wheat into the sea. I invite you to come back this evening. And remember, if you want to get more in the terms of the different series we have done so far from Harvest Mission International, that self-support the ministry we talk about, you can take a picture of this. You can go there and you can Google, or better yet, YouTube, and you'll find this series. We're going to close off in prayer, and then I'm going to take a few questions for those who are. All right, we're going to close off in prayer now.